Good afternoon, everyone. I warmly welcome you from EIECP IISC. So we are conducting a live program webinar series in which the Honorable Prime Minister inaugurated this during COP 26 in 2021. This advocates the sustainable lifestyle that prioritizes mindful utilization over wasteful consumption. This initiative was supports the collective action to encourage individuals worldwide to adopt climate friendly practices in their daily livelihood. I'll pass on to Tulika now to give the introductory speech.
Good afternoon, everyone. I welcome you all in IISC. And today, as we all know, today is 26th July. So today we celebrate as International Day for Conservation of Mangrove Ecosystem, which is designated by UNESCO in 2015. It was first celebrated in July 2016. So as we all know that mangroves are the unique ecosystems that we can find in the junction of the ocean and the land, and these habitats play a crucial role in our supporting the well-being, food security, safety of the coastal communities along the world. So this ecosystem serves as a very diverse biodiversity and also serve as essential habitats for wide range of flora and also the fauna. And moreover, these mangroves serve as the natural disaster defense against different disasters like tsunamis, cyclones, coastal erosions. And the soils in the mangrove forest are also rich and highly efficient in storing the carbon and making them significant contributors in the climate stability. So despite their importance, we can see mangroves are disappearing at an alarming rate. If we see the global extent of the mangrove by UNESCO, we have seen the mangroves are showing severe ecological and socio-economic degradations. So today, focusing on these aspects, we are privileged to host our four distinguished speakers who will discuss the ecological services and also the societal benefits of mangroves, which are also referred as the working trees. Additionally, this webinar also holds significance as it also focuses on the Agnashi estuary region, which is recently designated as a Ramsar site in Karnataka on 30th January of 2024. This webinar is one among the first technical webinars dedicated to this region, highlighting the ecological significance and also the importance of conservation efforts. So through today's discussion, we aim to extend our understanding of mangrove ecosystems, their significance to the local communities, and how we can collectively work towards the preservation of the natural heritages for our sustainable future. I encourage all the participants by posting questions and comments in the chat box. And now I welcome Asulabha ma'am to introduce Aparna as our next speaker. Thank you.
So good afternoon, everyone. I'm here to invite the first speaker of today's session, Ms. Aparna Haridas. She has completed her MSc in Marine Biology and is currently working under Dr. TVRAMACHANDRA, Energy and Wetland Research Group, Indian Institute of Science. And she is working on a project related to Agnashi estuary, Uttar Kannada district, Karnataka. So today she will discuss on the topic ecological and economic importance of mangroves. Over to you, Aparna.
It's full screen actually. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you, Asilaba ma'am, for the introduction. So it's my honor to speak on the International Day for the Conservation of Mangrove on behalf of IISC, EISCP in Energy and Wetland Research Group, IISC. So today I'll be discussing on the ecological and economical importance of mangrove ecosystem. So I'll be speaking about the introduction of mangrove. So what are the mangrove ecosystem and talking about the ecology aspect and their adaptations. Everything I'll be discussing in my upcoming slide. So without much delay, I'm going to my introduction part. So let me start my introduction with the wetland ecosystem. So wetland ecosystem, which is the most productive ecosystem in the world. 1 second. So wetland ecosystem, which is considered as the most productive ecosystem in the world, they consist of wide variety of goods and services, and despite the 7% of Earth land surface, they have many functions, include the carbon sequestration, and they are rich in biodiversity, and they have an important role in exporting organic matter, and they have flood protection function, they have groundwater recharge, local climate stabilization, and entrapping of sediment and nutrients. So the wetland ecosystem, it is basically a land area which is periodically or continuously saturated with water. So the ideal definition for the wetland ecosystem is given by the Ramsar Convention Secretariat, and it is nothing but the area of fen, marsh or peatland or water body. It could be either artificial or natural, or could be permanent or temporary with water, and it could be static or flowing, and can be fresh, brackish as well as saline water, and including all the parts of marine water wherever the depth at low tide does not exceed the 6 meter. So this is the introduction regarding the wetlands. So coming to the categories of wetlands, so wetlands are categorized into mainly 5 types. So the major types are marine, estuarine, lacustrine, riverine and palustrine. And our mangrove swamps or mangrove forest falls under the estuarine wetlands along with the deltas and tidal marshes. So the mangrove ecosystem, they are the trees or the shrubs which is distributed along the tropical or the subtropical tidal areas approximately 30° north and 30° south latitude. Here we can see it is coming in the 30° north and 30° south. So this is a global image. I mean, this is the Earth view, and the mangrove ecosystem which is occurring in between the 30° north and 30° south of the system, and they are structurally and functionally unique plants, and it consists of many biogeochemical processes in this ecosystem, and they are considered as most biologically rich ecosystem in the world. So coming to the Indian scenario, the mangroves are present in the east and west coast of the India as well as the island territories, and the extent of mangroves in India is 7° north to 23° north to and the 69° east to 89.5° east, and it covers a total area of 4,992 kilometers square, and this forest area contribute to total 3.3% of global mangroves. So coming to the diversity, so so far 4,011 species have been recorded from the mangrove ecosystem, in which 920 plants, 920 flora have been recorded, and 3,091 animals recorded from the Indian mangroves, and the highest this Indian mangroves is considered as the highest rich biodiversity in the world. So here this map showing the west coast and east coast. So the east coast, which is smooth compared to the west coast, the east coast of the India, which is comparatively smooth and gentle slope, and which consists of numerous rivers. So it contain many alluvial soil. It contain high density of alluvial soil, and which is rich in nutrient, and thereby they can hold a large number of different diverse mangroves, such as like mangrove forests such as our Sundarbans. So Sundarbans is considered as the largest mangrove ecosystem in the world, which is situated in the east coast of India. And coming to the west coast is comparatively steep and vertical slope and does not contain that much rivers compared to the east coast, and there is a little alluvial soil is present. And the major mangrove ecosystem present here is the backwater marine type mangrove ecosystem. So coming to the state-wise data, the highest data is highest mangrove cover is shown in the West Bengal, which is 2,114, and then comes the Gujarat. Gujarat have a forest cover of 1,175, and this map shows the forest cover of the west coast as well as the east coast of India. And here we have Andaman Nicobar. Andaman Nicobar also have a forest cover of 616. So next I'm moving on to the types of mangroves. So basically the mangroves are classified into two types. First one is the exclusive and next one is the non-exclusive species. So the exclusive species is nothing but the mangrove mangrove ecosystem, mangrove species which is strictly seen in the mangrove environment. These species can be also called as obligate mangrove and true mangrove. So coming to the non-exclusive mangroves, these mangroves can be present in the terrestrial ecosystem, aquatic ecosystem, as well as the mangrove environment. So these are called as, these mangrove species can be called as semi-mangrove or back mangrove or the mangrove associate. So out of 110 species found so far, 54 to 72 species are actually considered as true mangroves, and these are some of the examples of true mangroves and mangrove associate. Here I've incorporated one photo of Abyssinia species which is a true mangrove, and I have another photo which is of Barringtonia racemosa which is a associate mangrove. So I hope it is clear to everyone. So coming to the Uttara Kannada coast, so in Uttara Kannada coast we have high salinity mangroves, medium salinity mangroves as well as low salinity mangroves. So Mesta et al. Conducted a study on the Uttara Kannada coast which includes 5 estuary: Kali estuary, Gangavali estuary, Aganashini estuary, Sharavati estuary and Venkarapura estuary. In these estuaries, he classified the mangroves into mainly 3 types according to the salinity. And the mangroves which present in the high saline regions are the Rhizophora mucronata, Rhizophora apiculata, Soneraceae alba, Abyssinia marina, Bulgaria cylindrica, and Acanthus ilicifolis and Exocaria agalocha. And coming to the medium saline mangroves, they are Talia Kandal, Abyssinia officinalis, Aegisaurus corniculata, Bulgaria gymnorrhiza, Lumnicera litoria. And coming to the low salinity mangroves, which will be near the riverine area, and these mangroves are the Sonoracea cascularis and Acrostichum aureum. So here he also presented the root morphology as well as leaf morphology. So according to the species, the root as well as leaf morphology will change. Here the Cantalia Cantal and the Bulgaria gymnorrhiza have a buttress root. Here we can see the root is like different from the other species, and this kind of root is called buttress roots. And coming to the pencil roots or the roots or the species which shows the nematophores, these are known as pencil root, and this pencil root are therefore Abyssinia marina species, Abyssinia officinalis species, and S. cassiolaris species, and Soneraceae alba species. Coming to the knee roots or the bending roots, which is mainly present in the Bulgaria cylindrica as well as Exocaria agalocha species. And the prop roots, it's look like a man who's walking, and from this root only we got the name walking trees for the mangrove nickname walking trees. So this is actually prop root, and prop root are present in the Rhizophora mucronata and Rhizophora apiculata species. And coming to the leaf morphology, according to the species, depending upon the species, all the leaf shape will vary. Here we can see Cantalia Kandal, Sonoracea alba, Rhizophora mucronata, Abyssinia, Acanthus illicifolius, and Exocaria agalocha, Abyssinia officinalis, Abyssinia marina, Rhizophora apiculata, and Soneraceae cassiolaris. All these species have different leaf structure. One is in one is in narrow, and one is in oval shape, and one have a bulky structure. So it will vary according to the species.
So coming to the Aganashni estuary, the Ramsar wetland of international importance. So this study I've done on the Aganashni estuary. So the Aganashni estuary, which is formed when the Aganashni river meets the Arabian Sea by flowing a distance of 117 kilometer distance, and this Aganashni village is in the Kumta Taluk of Uttara Kannada district. And this Aganashni estuary, which is considered as a high biodiversity area, which contain diverse aquatic organism and is rich of nutrients because of the continuous mixing of the riverine water as well as the marine water. And this Aganashni estuary, which comprises of many our mangrove species, and some of them I have mentioned here, and even I recorded the images of the leaves, flower, stem and root of each species from our Aganashni estuary, and it is here. So Abyssinia officinalis, Rhizophora mucronata, Sonaraceae alba, Candelia candel, and Rhizophora apiculata, Acanthus ilicifolis, all species with the leaf, stem, flower, root images. So coming to the adaptations. So I gave a brief introduction regarding mangroves, right? So the mangroves, which is present in a transitional area, transitional zone or the buffer zone between the river as well as the marine ecosystem. So they are continuously undergoing the tidal fluctuations, and they contain high rich biodiversity. So and even the environment, the sediment, which is actually muddy as well as marshy, so they need many adaptations to survive in this condition. So some of the adaptations I have incorporated in my slide, main adaptations. So first one is the low quantities of oxygen. Since the mangroves are growing in a marshy area, they won't get sufficient oxygen from the ground. So some mangrove species such as red mangroves and black mangroves. Red mangroves means the mangroves which have red color in the root as well as bark, and black mangrove is the example of black mangrove is the Abyssinia species. So these species shows adaptations such as lenticels. Red mangroves shows the lenticels in their roots, as well as black mangrove shows the pneumatophores. So pneumatophores are nothing but the aerial roots, so which are they can grow up to 30 centimeter, and they are actually here I have an image. So these are the pneumatophores. So these are negatively geotrophic as well as positively autotrophic roots. So these roots have also lenticels. So they'll take up the oxygen and the oxygen from the atmosphere for their survival. So this is how they'll adapt to the less oxygen conditions. And coming to the reproduction and the survival of the offspring, the mangroves show viviparity. That means the mangrove seed breaks their dormancy while still on the parent plant. So here in this mangrove, this roots are the fruit is still attached to the system, even though they break the dormancy stage. They started to germinate. So coming to the next adaptation, that is adaptation to the saline environment. So the mangrove species mainly occurring in a saline brackish environment. So they'll take up a large amount of salt into their environment. So major mechanism they are showing are the salt excluding and the salt secreting. So the salt excluder examples are the Rhizophora species, Cereops tegale species, and Bruguiera species, Lumicera species, as well as the Exocaria species. And the salt secretor mechanism is nothing but they'll have a salt gland in their system, and this salt gland, what they do that they will secrete they'll regulate the salt level in the body, and this is shown by the Acanthus species, Abyssinia marina species, Abyssinia officinalis species, and Abyssinia alba, and Aegiceras corniculatum and Aegileata species. And coming to the other two adaptations, the first one is that the mangroves are present in a soft waterlogged sediments, right? So they need a proper anchorage for attaching to the sediment, and they have adapted to this condition, and they have dense root system like this picture. So this is a photo of Rhizophora mucronata root, and this is a dense root system for their anchorage for the anchorage adaptation. And coming to the nutrient uptake, for the nutrient uptake, there were some adaptations such as evergreenness and reabsorption of the nutrients and immobilization of nutrients in the body and a high root to shoot ratio. So these are the several adaptations shown by the mangrove ecosystem. So the first one is the adaptation to low quantity of oxygen. Second one is the adaptation for the reproduction and survival of offspring. The third one includes the adaptation for the saline environment, and the fourth one is the adaptation for support of the soft waterlogged sediments, and the last one is nothing but the adaptation for the efficient nutrient uptake. So coming to the major theme of the talk, that is the ecological and economical importance of mangroves. So the mangrove ecosystem, which serve numerous services, can be directly or indirectly to the ecosystem functioning as well as ecosystem structuring as well as the human well-being. So here are some of the ecosystem service I've noted, like the coastal protection. So mangroves shown higher coastal protection, and also the water filtration mechanism shown by the mangrove ecosystem. It is also significant. And coming to the tourism sector, the mangroves show high like economical importance in the tourism sector. And coming to the fisheries, they'll also contribute, the estuarine fisheries contribute largely to the global, I mean Indian total fish production and climate regulation. Due to this greenhouse gases, the environment, the atmosphere is filled up with a lot of gases such as CO2 and nitrous oxide. So all these gases are taking up by the mangrove ecosystem and regulating the climatic conditions. And coming to the livelihood, so the mangrove ecosystem, which actually taking care of around 120 million people, 120 million people in the world. And so if we take the total mangrove ecosystem service, it worth around 800 billion US dollar per year. And this is a study which is conducted in the Uttara Kannada district of Karnataka. And here the Ramachandra et al. Given the goods and services such as provisioning services and regulating, supporting cultural and cultural values, and the total economic value which from the National Estuary we got, it is 24.03 billion rupees per year, and the total annual productivity which is 5 million rupees per hectare per year. So coming to the first ecosystem service, that is the carbon sequestration. So as we all know, carbon sequestration, it is a hot topic now. So why it is a hot topic, that we have to think. So that is nothing but the climate change. So the in this 21st century, the climate change is happening like in a fast pace. So this climate change could be due to many reasons, but the major reason for the climate change is the global warming. And the global warming, it is mainly caused by due to this global greenhouse gas effect and the contribution. Why it is happening? It is because of the greenhouse gases, and one of the major greenhouse gas is nothing but the CO2. Okay, so CO2 is considered as a major significant greenhouse gas, and it will contribute to global warming and the climate change problems. So now we have a problem. So now we have to think about the solution, right? And while we think about a solution, first thing will pop up into our mind is the nature-based solution. Our mangrove ecosystem, which is considered as a proper nature-based solution for the carbon sequestration process. So here we can see all the pollution and all the urbanization have made the CO2 emission, and it will contribute to the global warming, and it will stimulate climatic change. And here the mangrove ecosystem, here we have the mangrove ecosystem, they store these carbon dioxide, they store the carbon dioxide in their biomass. So the mangrove which have AGB means the above ground biomass, such as the leaves, branches, stem, everything, and the BGB means the below ground biomass, which includes the roots and all the sediment part. Okay, so we have AGB and BGB. So the carbon dioxide which will taken up by this biomass, and it will be buried for million of years. So that's how the carbon sequestration process is happening in the mangrove ecosystem. And the mangrove ecosystem, which have a capacity to sequester carbon three times more carbon per hectare than the terrestrial forest, and while taking the entire ecosystem, the sediment have much more sequestration capacity than the AGB, than the biomass in the system. And coming to the blue carbon ecosystem, so blue carbon ecosystem is nothing but the carbon which is stored in the coastal areas, mainly the seagrasses, mangroves, and salt marshes. So we compare these three. Mangroves have the major role in sequestering the carbon, and this carbon is known as the blue carbon. So in blue carbon, we have 693 megagram carbon, organic carbon per hectare, and which is mainly sequestered in the deep soil horizon. And the carbon burial in mangrove soil also averages from the averages of 184 carbon, organic carbon per meter square. And here the Rani et al. Given a summary of Cochin mangrove study. Here the above ground biomass ranges of 171.68 ton carbon per hectare, and the below ground biomass, which is 93.78 ton carbon per hectare. And here the litter fall which contribute to 7.12 ton carbon per hectare, and the total burial rate is 1.93 ton organic carbon per hectare, and it will all contribute the soil organic carbon, which she got, it is 73.22 ton carbon per hectare. So coming to the biology, so how it is sequestering. So the first process is the photosynthesis. So because of all the global warming effort, the carbon dioxide in the atmosphere is increasing day by day. So all this carbon dioxide will be taken up by the AGB, by the leaves, through the chlorophyll, through the photosynthesis. This CO2 will be taken up by the plants, and it will be stored in the body, in the system. And eventually this carbon will be stored in the sediment. Why? Because in case of mangroves, the sediments are in anoxic condition, which means there is less oxygen, and it will actually help in the decomposition, slowing the decomposition, because the reducing the oxygen level, and the organisms by accumulating sediment and detritus bury them, they reduce the oxygen levels and slowing the decomposition by bacteria, and this buried carbon can remain unstored for centuries longer if not it is disturbed. Here we can see if the system it is disturbed, like cutting or something happening for the like the aquaculture and agriculture purposes, this stored carbon will be re-emitted to the system. So it is much dangerous to cut this and destruct this ecosystem. Why? Because this ecosystem is storing carbon from million years, and if we try to destruct this ecosystem, all the carbon which has been stored in the system will be released back to the environment. So next is the ecosystem service, which is the breeding and feeding breeding ground, as well as the nursery, which is the breeding and feeding ground of the aquatic organisms. Not only the aquatic organism, but also the terrestrial as well as aerial ecosystem. So the mangroves, which considered as the breeding and feeding ground, why? Because they have many functions, like they are rich in like food. So while talking about the food, this mangrove ecosystem which receive high organic input from marine as well as estuarine region. So it is actually it consists of high load of organic matter, as well as their mangrove tree, which contribute a large amount of litter fall to the system. So all this contribute to our organic matter, and it is considered as a greater food source for the fishes, especially juvenile fishes. So what happens is that during the breeding season, the fishes and other aquatic organisms will swim from the marine as well as riverine areas, and they will come to this mangrove ecosystem because of the adequate amount of food, as well as the optimum temperature conditions and all other physicochemical parameters. They will come here and they'll feed and they'll breed in this ecosystem. And the other important feature is that the lower predation pressure. The ecosystem which have a physical structure such as aerial root and probe roots, and all this will help in the lower the predation. So we'll compare with the ocean environment, the ocean which is actually open ocean, right? So they don't have much physical structures. So during this breeding season, they actually need much care. So that's why they are coming to these places and they can hide in these places. And the other example is that during molting stages, the crab actually comes to this estuarine area. I mean mainly the mangrove area for hiding purpose. Otherwise, the predators will catch them. So all these are because all this makes the ecosystem. All this makes the mangrove ecosystem in rich biodiversity. Okay. So not only the aquatic species but also many nesting and birds are present. So these are actually considered as a nesting and migratory sites of many hundred of species, bird species. And coming to the fish species, so far there are 3,000 fish species has been identified from the mangrove species. So coming to the Aganashini estuary, the value per hectare from Aganashini estuary is around 25 lakh 30,000 2 crore 50 lakh and 25 million. Okay, 25 million rupees towards the breeding ground and nurseries. And so far the studies have shown that total number of bivalve species, 33 crab species and 77 fishes, as well as 108 bird species from this estuary. And these all pictures are taken from the Aganashini or Aganashini estuary. And coming to the coastal protection. So our mangrove ecosystem actually act as a natural barrier and superheroes against these major events such as a storm, flood and tsunamis. So here there is a pictorial representation I've given. So where there's a two coastal ecosystem. So one we have a mangrove ecosystem, and one there is no mangrove ecosystem. So if there is a storm urge or something happens, where the mangrove ecosystem is there, they will dissipate the wave energy and they'll protect the coastal community. Okay. There is no mangrove, we can see that they'll directly destruct the coastal community. So the mangrove forest, which can reduce the wave energy by 20% per 100 meters, and this dense root system actually stabilize the root and reduce the soil erosion and acting as a natural barrier, and they'll dissipate the wave energy. This is a photo where the storm occurs in the Arabian Sea coast of the Gujarat state. And coming to the pollinators and productivity, so as I told, the Aganashini estuary, which is rich in biodiversity, so they are considered as a home for many pollinators such as bees, bats, etc. And they not only include for the biodiversity but also they act as pollinators for many important crops and not only the coastal plants and crop but also many agriculture lands which are residing next to our mangrove ecosystem. Coming to the water filtration capacity, the dense root of this mangrove ecosystem. So this is the photo of root of Rhizophora mucronata species, and these root species, what they do that they will take up nutrients from the water, and they will reduce the chances of eutrophication. Eutrophication is nothing but the nutrient enrichment in the aquatic ecosystem. So they'll reduce the chances of eutrophication, and they'll take up by the heavy metals, and they'll purify the water, and also they'll, as I told earlier, they'll stabilize the sediment and prevent the resuspension and maintain the clear water condition. And it is also recorded that if we have a 2 to 5 hectares of a mangrove forest, we can easily filter the 1 hectare aquaculture effluent waste. And these are the goods and services which recorded from the Aganashini estuary. So the main services include the coastal erosion control, flood control, storm protection, nutrient retention, disturbance regulation, waste treatment, nutrient cycling, carbon sequestration, gas regulation and climate regulation, oxygen provision, water regulation, water supply, groundwater recharging, natural hazard mitigation, and all this and all this production, it's around 18,35,000 and 288 rupees hectare per year. And coming to the ecotourism, mangroves act as a great mangroves are a great spot for ecotourism. So these are several tourist activities are happening in and around the mangrove ecosystem. And these are the cultural services from the national estuary we have noted, and this includes the recreation and aesthetic information, science and education, and the total production is around 87,871. And coming to the societal benefits, the main one is that coastal community livelihood. Our Agnashini estuary, which actually in Agnashini estuary, there are around 6,500 to 7,000 families are actually depending on our Agnashini estuary for the natural resources. So one of the major natural resources include the kaga rice, which is a salt tolerant rice species and which is found in the estuarine rice field, and many farmers they're actually depending on this kaga rice occupation, and they are consuming them as well as they're exporting for the financial support as well as their financial support, and many other occupations such as salt making, water transport, sand and shell mining, mat and basket weaving, pot making, etc. The other occupations are like other livelihood opportunities providing by the Agnashini estuary. And here the pictures I've shown, this is the paddy field, and here we have salt pan, and you see in coastal areas actually not only the men but also women are the breadwinner of their houses, and it's actually quite interesting, right? And here this is a here there is a like a crab collection as well as fisheries, and per bivalve based economy actually contribute a larger turnover, which is 57.8 million per year. And there we have 6,000 native fishermen in our Agnashini estuary. And coming to the timber people are used for making firewood, canoes and boats. And actually Sundarbans, the timber yield principally of the Hirschieria forms, which is a major species found in the Sundarbans, and the Ecological agalocha, which had exceeded the 3 lakh cubic meters annually. And the other products such includes the honey and fishes are also important source for products. And coming to the medicinal value, so the mangrove ecosystem which have high medicinal properties, mainly because they have high like the biochemical compounds such as tannins, saponins, alkaloids, etc. And so these compounds will contribute to the medicinal value of the mangrove ecosystem. So here I have highlighted some of the major species which are found in our Indian coast, such as Acanthus ilicifolia. So these have this much uses such as blood purifier, diabetes and hepatitis, etc. And coming to the Avicennia officinalis, it also have many uses. And coming to Stereopsis tuggle, Exocaria galocha, Rhizophora apiculator, Rhizophora mucronata, Sonaraceae alba. So all these actually contribute many uses. And this is the provisional services that were evaluated from the Agnashini estuary. And so despite all the importance I've explained so far, threats are also a significant factor that we have to look. Okay, right. So coming to the threats, the major threats that major threats the mangrove ecosystem are facing nowadays are the agriculture. For agriculture purposes, the many mangroves are cutting, and same for aquaculture sector. And for pollution, the pollution is another major challenge that is facing by our mangrove ecosystem. Then coastal development, then the climatic changes, and for timber. So everything, these are the major challenges that our ecosystem, the mangrove ecosystem, are facing. So because of this higher, so India contribute for the higher population, and it is actually increase the urbanization, and it is actually started cutting our mangroves, which is actually very miserable. And coming to the conclusion, so I want to conclude my section by highlighting that these are actually mangrove ecosystem are actually considered as a global treasure of our earth, and these are actually superheroes which can fight against many climatic events, and many total economic valuation have done in India, and one scenario is in Kerala, and Devi et al done a study, and she concluded that mangroves of Kerala have a worth of 1,17,947 million value, and same in our Aganashni. So we have calculated the productivity, which is of 5 million rupees per hectare per year, and it is our duty for restoring and conserving our superheroes for the better future. So let me conclude my section. I hope everyone understood. So I'll be happy to have any questions. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Aparna, for giving us an elaborate idea on the mangroves. So she highlighted upon the types of mangroves, their habitat condition, adaptations, and the importance and various services provided by the mangrove ecosystem. So like carbon sequestration, habitat provision, fisheries, climate regulation, coastal protection, water filtration, and then ecotourism, etc. So now I strongly feel that it's our duty to protect these valuable ecosystems as they provide various ecosystem services like provisioning, regulating, and culture services. Thank you once again. So now I wish to call upon Cincy to introduce the next speaker.
Hi all. The next speaker is Vinay M. He has conducted the MTech in Environmental Engineering and also took Environmental Management course from IISC. Then he is presently working on wetlands in Bangalore and the Agnashni estuary. Then he will be discussing about biomass and carbon estimation of the mangrove ecosystem. Over to you, Vinay.
Good afternoon, everyone. Aparna has explained regarding the ecological and economical benefits of mangroves. Now I'll be telling how to estimate carbon from the mangroves, how it is done. Biomass and carbon estimation of mangroves. First of all, let us know what is carbon sequestration. Carbon sequestration is a process of removing carbon dioxide from the atmosphere and storing it. This is a key method for reducing the amount of carbon in the atmosphere, which attributes to global warming and climate change. There are mainly two types, that is the geological carbon sequestration and the biological carbon sequestration. We'll go in detail. Geological carbon sequestration. This involves capturing carbon dioxide emissions from the sources such as power plants, industrial processes, and injecting them deep into underground into geological formations, into deep such as oil and gas fields, unminable coal seams, or deep saline aquifers. These when stored will not come out, will be securely trapped. Then coming to the biological carbon sequestration, which is one of the major contributor for carbon sequestration. This is mainly taken care by plants, trees, and other vegetation which absorb carbon dioxide from the atmosphere through photosynthesis and store it in their biomass. This natural method helps to reduce the amount of carbon dioxide in the air, mitigating the climate change. Forests, grassland, and wetlands are the key ecosystem for these processes, with trees and plants storing carbon in their trunks, branches, leaves, and roots. Human activities such as reforestation, afforestation, and improved land management can enhance the natural carbon storage, making it as an essential strategy in addressing the global warming. Let us know how mangroves help in the carbon sequestration. Mangroves plays a crucial role in carbon sequestration, acting as a significant carbon sinks in coastal ecosystem. These unique intertidal forests capture and store large amounts of carbon in both their biomass and also in the sediment. The key role of mangroves include the following. First is the high biomass production. Mangroves have high productivity and they're dense. Woody biomass stores carbon effectively. They can sequester carbon in their trunks, branches, flowers, roots and leaves. Second is the soil carbon storage. Mangrove sediments are rich in organic carbon due to the leaf litter fall, woody debris and root biomass. These anaerobic conditions of waterlogged will slow down the decomposition rate, allowing carbon to be stored for a longer periods. Coming to the third point, that is the long-term carbon sequestration. Carbon can be stored over here for centuries. This long-term sequestration is critical for mitigating the climate change. Fourth point is the protection against coastal erosion. By stabilizing the shorelines and reducing soil erosion, mangrove prevent the release of stored carbon from the coastal soil into the atmosphere. Fifth is the carbon sequestration efficiency. Studies have shown that mangroves can sequester carbon at rates higher than other forests, such as terrestrial forests, such as evergreen or deciduous forest. They have efficiencies to store much more carbon. Coming to the biomass of a tree, what actually biomass of a tree consists of? It is a total mass of all the organic materials contained with it. It includes above ground biomass, which consists of stems, branches, leaves, flowers and fruits, below ground biomass such as roots. How methods of biomass measurement? It is mainly done by two methods, that is the direct method and indirect method. In case of direct measurement, what we do is that we will cut the tree and weigh the parts, harvesting and weighing the parts. This is the most accurate, but it might cause harm to the environment. Indirect method is that which uses allometric equations. So we'll get the biomass of that equations. And the remote sensing and satellite data are also used to obtain the biomass of the particular tree and the carbon storage. Here, now we'll be going deep into the biomass and carbon sequestration estimation using the allometric equations. Allometric equations are nothing but mathematical models that relate easily measurable tree attributes such as girth at breast height and height to the overall biomass. Following steps indicate the estimation of biomass. Coming to step 1, measuring girth at breast height. We'll measure the girth of the tree at 1.5 meters above the ground, and we'll get the DBH. DBH is nothing but the circumference, that is GBH, girth at breast height divided by pi. Second step is the measuring tree height. Tree height can be measured with the help of the clinometer. Step 3, it is a total green weight. Total green weight is nothing but the above ground biomass, which is given by the equation 0.25 into d square into h, where d is the diameter of the tree and h is the height. Coming to below ground biomass, the equation is given by BGB is equals to 0.2 times of AGB. Total biomass can be calculated by summing up the above ground biomass and the below ground biomass. Coming to step 4, the total dry weight of the tree. Around 72.5% of the tree consists of dry matter and the rest is of moisture. So total dry weight is calculated as multiplied with a 0.725. Total biomass multiplied with 0.725. Then coming to weight of carbon, step 5, weight of carbon in the tree. According to the CHN analysis and other further physiochemical analysis, we found that 50% of the dry weight of the tree, and according to literature surveys also, we found that 50% of the dry weight is the total carbon stored. So we are multiplying total carbon weight is equal to 0.5 into total dry weight. Coming to step 6, total carbon dioxide equivalent sequestered. Carbon dioxide is composed of 1 molecule of carbon and 2 molecules of oxygen. We will take the ratio of this carbon dioxide to the carbon. We'll get 44 divided by 12 is equal to 3.66, which we multiplied with the total carbon weight. We'll get the total carbon dioxide sequestered per tree. These are some of the common allometric equations which are used for mangrove biomass estimation. Commium et al. And Chev et al. Have conducted much more studies on mangroves. They arrived at these general allometric equations. W top indicates the above ground biomass and Commium et al. Equation WR indicates the below ground biomass, that is the root. Here we get to know the species-specific above-ground biomass allometric equations of different species. It also depends upon the region-specific and also site-specific. Here dBH refers to the diameter at breast height. W top refers to the above ground biomass. This slide represents the species specific below ground biomass allometric equations. Different species such as Avicennia, Brugueria exocacia, Rhizophora apiculata, these below ground biomass allometric equations have been presented in this slide from different studies. Carbon stocks in mangroves around the world. This gives a reference on different countries where the mangrove studies have been conducted and different AGB and BGB carbon stock which they have obtained. In case of Philippines, they have got a carbon stock in above ground as 263.8 megagrams of carbon per hectare, and below ground carbon stock they have got 92.3 megagrams of carbon per hectare. In Kenya it is 148.07 megagrams of carbon per hectare. In case of West Central Africa it is 5.2 to 312 megagrams of carbon per hectare. In case of Brazilian mangroves, they got a carbon stock in below ground biomass as 104.4 megagrams of carbon per hectare. And in Sundarbans of Bangladesh, they got carbon stock of AGB with 76.8 megagrams of carbon per hectare, and carbon stock of BGB as 41.1 megagrams of carbon per hectare. In Amazon mangroves, got AGB as 145.17 megagrams of carbon per hectare and below ground biomass as 11.69 megagrams of carbon per hectare. Coming to India, these are the site studies which have been taken place. Coming to Vellar, Kolara estuary, for Avicennia marina, they got 67.47 megagrams of carbon per hectare, and Rhizophora micronata, they have got 38 megagrams of carbon per hectare. In case of Sundarbans of West Bengal, carbon stock in above ground ranged from 61.35 to 152.57, and below ground biomass it ranged from 11.72 to 62.37. In case of Mahanadi Delta, 178.8 megagrams carbon per hectare, considering both above ground and below ground biomass. In case of Bitarkanika, these are the values, and Kochi mangroves had a value ranging from 117.88, 159.29 or 194.52 megagrams of carbon per hectare by using the general allometric equations and species specific allometric equations. And when coming to BGB, it was around 77.90 megagrams of carbon per hectare. This is our site study Agnaski estuary, where we determined the above ground biomass, below ground biomass, total biomass and carbon sequestrated in this estuary. We sampled around 10 to 12 sites, and each sites we did around 5 to 6 quadrates, and we got these values. Above ground biomass we got around nearly to 200 tons per hectare. Below ground biomass we got 80 to 90 tons per hectare, and total biomass in the range of 280 tons per hectare, and the amount of carbon sequestrated is around 150 tons per hectare, megagrams of carbon per hectare. Thank you.
Thank you, Vinay, for the informative presentation. Then he highlighted the role of mangroves as a effective carbon sequester, then and how to quantify biomass and carbon in mangrove forest. Now I will Ashu Anand will introduce the next speaker.
Good afternoon, everyone. Our third topic for today is carbon dynamics in estuarine ecosystem. This presentation will focus on the complex interactions and carbon fluxes within estuarine environments. highlighting the unique role of mangroves. For that, I would like to welcome Darshan Hegde, who will guide us through this important topic.
So, good afternoon, everyone. On the day of ecological service and societal benefits of mangroves, walking trees, International Day for the conservation of mangrove ecosystem, I would like to talk on carbon dynamics in estuarine ecosystem. So, let us know what is estuary. An estuary is a partially enclosed coastal body of brackish water with one or more rivers, streams flowing into it, and with a free connection to the open sea. Estuaries form a transition zone between river environments and marine environments and are an example of an ecotone. Ecotones are nothing but a transition between two ecosystems. Here in estuary part, this is the mainly of transition between ocean and river. So we can see that I have taken Aganashini estuary from Uttar Kannada. This is the river mouth of Aganashini river, and this is Arabian Sea. So the river flows from Western Ghats, from which takes birth at Sirsi, flows through west part of Western Ghats and reaches the Arabian Sea, and this is the estuary part. Estuaries plays an important role in carbon dynamics. So let us know what is carbon dynamics. Mainly we will focus on water and soil carbons. Carbon compounds can be distinguished as either organic or inorganic and dissolved or particulate depending on their composition. Organic carbon forms the backbone of the key component of organic compounds such as protein, lipids and carbohydrates. Inorganic carbon is found primarily in simple compounds such as carbon dioxide, carbonic acid, bicarbonate and carbonate. So this is the picture showing the carbon flux. So carbon dioxide in the atmosphere is utilized by the plants for the photosynthesis, and after the photosynthesis the fruits, the leaf litter and other parts of the plants are flown along with the river and reaches the estuarine part, and some of the carbons settled in soil organic carbon, and again when the it is a cycle, so it will after biological process and some chemical process, it will reaches back to atmosphere by carbon dioxide. Estuarine carbon is further separated into particulate and dissolved phases. These pools are operationally defined by physical separation. Dissolved carbon passes through 0.2 micrometer filter, and particulate carbon does not pass through filter. So this is nothing but when we collect the estuarine samples, water samples, we will filter the collected water sample with the help of filtration set. So when we pass through filter paper, the filtrate is considered as DOC, and the remaining which settlements at the filter paper is considered as particulate carbon. Soil carbon is also important in estuarine carbon dynamics. It contains both organic and inorganic forms of soil. Inorganic carbon consists of minerals, forms of carbon, or from reaction of soil minerals with atmospheric carbon dioxide. Soil organic carbon includes biotic factors such as plant residue, dead organisms. So in this picture, we are collecting the soil samples or sediment samples from the estuarine part. So we can see that litter will fall, and some dead biomass we can see. These are all the major contributors to biotic factors. Coming to inorganic carbon, main type of inorganic carbon that are found in estuary is dissolved and particulate. Dissolved inorganic carbon is made up of bicarbonate, carbonate, and carbon dioxide, including both dissolved carbon dioxide and carbonic acid. DIC can be converted to particulate inorganic carbon, that is PIC, through precipitation of calcium carbonate. DIC can also be converted to particulate organic carbon through photosynthesis and chemoautotrophy, that is by primary production. DIC increases with depth as organic carbon particles sink and are respired. Free oxygen decreases as DIC increases because oxygen is consumed during aerobic respiration. This is the bivalves from Aghanasini estuary. The outer shells are made up of, the composition is calcium carbonate. We have a living biomass inside those shells. Those are the major contributors of organic carbon. Coming to organic carbon, two main forms of organic carbons are found in the estuarine ecosystem: dissolved and particulate. Dissolved organic carbon is defined operationally as any organic molecule that can pass through 0.2 micrometer filter. As I mentioned, explained in earlier slide also, DOC can be converted into particulate organic carbon through heterotrophy, and it can also be converted back to dissolved inorganic carbon through respiration. Those organic carbon molecules being captured on a filtrate are defined as particulate organic carbon. POC is composed of organism, dead or alive, and their fecal matter and detritus. Fecal matters are mainly because of the rich biodiversity provided by mangroves. So the many migratory birds and lots of fishes, crabs, etc. are mainly found in this region. So this is the main reason for fecal matter is also considered into consideration. POC can be converted to DOC through disaggregation of molecules and by exudation by phytoplankton. For example, POC is generally converted to DIC through heterotrophy and respiration. Exudation is nothing but direct intake of inorganic carbon by phytoplanktons. So this is the flowchart, reversible flowchart of POC to DOC and POC to DIC and DIC to POC. So let us first concentrate on organic part. So POC is converted to DOC by ectoenzymes and exudation. Just now I have explained what is exudation, and DOC is converted back to POC, that is by bacterial heterotrophy. Heterotrophy is nothing but bacteria which cannot synthesize its own food. So now POC is converted to DIC by respiration because lots of biotic factors are also present in estuarine ecosystem. So DIC to POC by primary production, DIC to PIC by shells formation, that is calcium carbonate, and PIC to DIC by shells dissolution. The process associated with organic and inorganic carbon describe the transformation associated with the transfer of carbon from reservoir to the another in the estuarine system. So methods which we have used in Aghanasini estuary study for the parameters such as DIC, DOC, POC, soil organic carbon in sediments, and total soil carbon. So methodology for DIC in water, APHA 4500A, and for DOC, APHA 4500B, POC chemicalization method, APHA, soil organic carbon in sediments, that is by Walke-Black method, and total soil carbon by a CHN analyzer. So these are the some of the results across India and the world. So in Hooghly estuary, the DIC in water was 40.8 mg per liter, DOC was 5.57 mg per liter, POC was 19.5 mg per liter, soil organic carbon, that is 8.9 megagrams of carbon, milligrams of carbon per gram, and Cochin estuary, and Yangtze River estuary in China, that is 5.63 mg per liter of DIC, and 2.69 mg per liter of DOC, and POC they have not estimated, and soil organic carbon is 4.46 grams per kg. And the present study which we have done in Agnashini estuary is ranged between DIC ranged between 9 to 11 mg per liter, and DOC ranged between 7 to 17 mg per liter, and particulate organic carbon ranged between 0.002 to 0.009 mg per liter. The very small amount of POC is obtained because POC and other all the parameters, all the values depends on the estuary condition and other parameters also. So the major contribution in Agnashini estuary is soil organic carbon, that is 65 to 2210 tons per hectare. This is the major carbon sequestration contributor in Agnashini estuary. Coming to conclusion, DIC and DOC and soil play an important role in carbon dynamics in the Agnashini estuary as well as across the world. And DIC ranged between 9 to 11 mg per liter in the Agnashini estuary. DOC ranges between 7 to 17 mg per liter. And SOC is the most important form of carbon in the Agnashini estuary, where the sequestration rate ranges between 65 to 210 tons per hectare. So I would like to thank TVR sir for giving me this opportunity, and thank you all.
Thank you, Darshan Hegde, for your detailed presentation and giving us the valuable information about estuaries, carbon dynamics in organic carbon, and information about Agnashini estuary. Now, Gagna ma'am will introduce our final speaker.
Good afternoon, everyone. As a final speaker, we have Bhuvan Chandra Arya, who has completed his master's in remote sensing and geographic information system, and currently working on Agnashini estuary region and lakes of Bangalore. Today, on International Day for the Conservation of Mangrove Ecosystem, Bhuvan will be giving a talk on mangrove species-wise carbon dynamics. So over to you.
Good evening to all. Thank you IISC and IISCP. So today is a mangrove day. So I am presenting on the mangrove species-wise carbon dynamics. So at first I will start from the wetlands. What is wetland? Wetlands, these are the areas of marshes and peatlands of water. They can be natural or artificial and permanent or temporary, with water that is static or flowing, fresh, brackish water. And in the marine case, at the low tide condition, the depth should not be exceed 6 meters. So according to several studies, wetlands are the kidneys of landscape, and we all know what is the role of the kidneys. So our wetlands, they are providing various ecological functions such as water purification, groundwater recharge, ecosystem services, like food, fiber, waste assimilation, if mangroves are there, large biological diversity is also there, and carbon sequestration. So today I will discuss about carbon sequestration and application of remote sensing. Carbon sequestration, it's a mechanism of the removal of the carbon dioxide from the atmosphere by storing it in the biosphere. So I choose for this Agnasini estuary, which is declared as Ramsar wetland of international importance on 30 January 2024 with a great effort of Dr. TVRAMACHANDRA. So this is our Agnasini estuary in Karnataka. There is Uttar Kannada district. So this is the catchment boundary, and now this is inside the catchment boundary. This is the estuary part. So this is this rivers originates from the Sirsi Taluk. This is the catchment boundary. So Sirsi Taluk is here. This river originates from this taluk, and it widens into the estuary with an area of 4,801 hectare. Finally, it meets within the Arabian Sea. So around 21 villages depends on this estuary because it provides lot of resources to them, bivalves, agricultural lands. So they are these villages totally depend on the estuary. So we will see how it is helping in the carbon sequestration. So at first, how we worked on it, at first we took remote sensing data, and for that we choose a resolution of 10 meter Sentinel-2. For this we generated FCC, which helps us to see the heterogeneous patches and for the further analysis. After that, we used our collateral data in which field data is involved, published literatures and Google Earth. So by using primary and secondary data, we trained our classifier random forest. For this supervised classification, we choose random forest because it gave us a good result. For this, all our primary and secondary data, 70% data we reserve for the training and 30% for the testing. After that, 6 species we identified in the estuary: Rhizophora mucronata, Avicennia officinalis, Candelia candle, Exocaria agolocha, Sonoraceae alba, and Acanthus illiciopolis. So then we went to the field, then we worked on these patches, and then we collected carbon pools, above ground carbon pools, above ground carbon, below ground soil organic carbon, and dead wood in tons per hectare. Then with these data, we run the inverse model, which finally gave us carbon sequestration. So further, these are the dominant species of the Agnasini estuary. This is the root structure you can see. This is Rhizophora mucronata, walking trees. So this is the Genais form, and this is Sonoraceae alba, Acanthus illiciopolis, it's a shrub, Candelia candle, and this is Avicennia officinalis. So these are the dominant mangrove species of the Agnasini. So in the field, at first we consider 2 parameters, that is GBH, girth at breast height, and another one is height of the tree. So in this way, we measured GBH of each tree within a quadrant. At first we plotted several quadrants in 8 regions. Then in each quadrant, the dimension was 10 into 10 meter. Then we enumerated all trees and we collected GBH and height data. So in this way, at 1.3 meter, we measured the girth, and after that we use clinometer for the height measurement. Then biomass estimation in Agnasini estuary. So as already you listened the talks, so there are 2 methods, destructive and non-destructive method. So we carried non-destructive method. For this, random sampling method was employed of the 10 into 10 meter quadrant according to the accessibility, species type, density, soil type. After that, all plants we considered their GBH and height. And there are some mathematical equations known as allometric equations. For the each and every species, we choose AGB and DGB equations. Then we give input of the wood density, diameter, DBH, and the height. After that, we got AGB and DGB in the kg. And if once we have the AGB and DGB data, then we can convert it in the carbon stock. So after getting biomass, we can multiply that thing with 0.5. It means 50%, because 50% of the biomass is known as the carbon stock, and then it converted to the megagram tons per hectare. Then after collecting all those things, we run the invest model. The basic requirements of the invest model are the land use maps of that particular study area, and what are the carbon pools in the form of in the CSV format. This model produces, the benefit of the model is that it will produce both things, spatial as well as numeric data. So it can help in further decision making processes. So after running this model, we got some beautiful result. As you can see, this is our estuary. This blue color is our estuary boundary with an area of 4,801 hectare. Inside that, several species we got: Rhizophora mucronata, green color; Sonaracia alba, Avicennia officinalis, Acanthus, Candelia candle, Exocoria egolocha. So we observed that according to remote sensing data and field data, the Avicennia officinalis is the dominant species, nearly 45%, and after that Rhizophora mucronata 33%. Then after that Sonaracia alba 15 to 16%. So after getting that land use data, we give this input to the invest model with the carbon pools. Then we can see what our estuary gave. This is the carbon stock in the estuary. So total 2,41,377 tons of carbon it's sequestered in the mangroves. The mangrove, they are they have a good potential sink of carbon. So these all after getting this result, when we think we should compare this thing with the terrestrial ecosystem. This is mangrove ecosystem. So when we compare this with the terrestrial ecosystem, we can see a good result. Like this is our Agnashini catchment involving evergreen forest and the deciduous and the semi-evergreen. So and this then we took our estuary part out. This is our estuary. This is Agnashini basin. This is the estuary part. So then we took it out and we analyzed the estuary separately and catchment separately. Then we got in catchment with the evergreen and deciduous forest, the carbon stock values was 100 to 200 tons per hectare. In case of estuary, mangroves are there, so that the carbon stock is 200 to 300 tons per hectare. So we can compare how beneficial it is and how in comparison to terrestrial forest, how they are the good carbon sinks. So after getting this thing, so we can think about the importance of the mangroves for the coastal life, for this human survival, because initially there is photosynthesis and respiration. Carbon is balanced, but then humans came in picture. That balance was not sustained. So to mitigate this thing, we have to think, because nature loves symmetry. So we have to think about the balance of the carbon. So finally, total carbon stock in Agnashini estuary we got, that is 292 tons of carbon per hectare. That is the role of the mangrove in the ecosystem. Thank you, and thank you to IISC and Dr. TVRAMACHANDra sir to give me opportunity to share this thing.
Thank you, Bhuvan, for highlighting the importance of remote sensing and GIS tools and models in assessing the carbon sequestration potential in mangroves and also Agnashini estuary region. Now I would like to call upon Tulika to give the concluding remarks.
Thank you to all the speakers and our participants for listening carefully this very informative webinar that we had for last 1.5 hours. So we have known for how this today's webinar we can give us an exploration of the mangrove ecosystem, focusing on the societal and also the economic benefits, and also their critical role in the carbon sequestration and the biomass quantification. In the first presentation, we have seen in-depth ecological and the societal benefits or ecosystem services given by the given by the mangrove ecosystem, emphasizing on their biodiversity conservation and the coastal protection. Then coming on, we have seen how the field studies has been done for carbon assessment and also for the biomass assessment, how this DIC and DOC quantification can help us monitoring this fragile ecosystems. And finally, the detailed analysis of species-wise carbon dynamics has highlighted the distinctions of the carbon storage capacities across different regions of the Agnashni estuary. So this webinar has focused on the Agnashni estuary. This will help us to understand the total capacity of the region and also help us to conserve this region for our future. So now there is some questions in the chat box. Also, if you have any question, you can switch on your mic and ask the question. So there is a question in the chat box that I would like to speak out for Miss Aparna. So the question is from Mr. Question is from Niyam Dave. Is there any report on the medicinal importance of Avicennia marina in the treatment of snake bite patients in Indian healthcare scenario? Please, Aparna, can you please answer the questions? Come in. You can come here.
Hello, Nia. Okay, so yeah, it is there actually. Many papers have reported this medicinal value of Avicennia marina, especially their bark they are using for snake bite. And one of the paper I have to give a report that it is that Avicennia marina medicinal application review, which is it's a publication of S. Rajeshwari et al. Chandrakala et al. You have to go through that. It is they have mentioned it very clearly. I hope I answered your question. Thank you.
Yes, that's all. Niyam Dave says thanks to Aparna. So is there any question from the participants? We would we'll wait for a few seconds. If there is any question, you can also switch on your mic and ask the question. And you can also pose your question in the chat box. So as per we can see, there is not more questions are there. So I would like to call upon TVRAMACHANDRA sir to give his remarks on this Day of International Conservation for Mangrove Ecosystem. Over to you, sir.
Thank you for all for actually participating in this event. This is today is the Mangrove Day, and also it's a unique day for all of us because just now we got the tag of Ramsar to the Agnashni estuary, which we have struggled for the last 2.5 decades to get the thing, and a lot of researchers have worked on those aspects. And today's presentation is mainly to showcase the work done by the youngsters. You know, as the time progresses, the youngsters have to learn about the conservation. We thought that it is better to listen from the practicing youngsters who are working in the field to highlight about the Agnashni estuary and also the mangroves, the benefits of the mangroves. You know, our study clearly shows that Agnashni is a highly productive ecosystem, which is evident from the kind of the ecosystem, the production goods is about 1 million rupees per hectare per year. And if you look at the total ecosystem value, it would be about the 5 million rupees per hectare per year, or it is about 50 billion rupees. So that is the worth of the ecosystem. And it supports the livelihood of about 7,000 families. You know, if you are talking about development, I would say that giving a job to the 7,000 people in the nature-based way is the best way of the development. That is where the conservation will help in sustaining the resources and also the providing the benefit to the local people. So now I thank all the speakers of today who presented the this one, Aparna, then Vinay, Darshan Hegde, and Bhuvan Chandra. And we are concluding today's webinar with this one. If there are any queries, you are most welcome to write to us, and we will get back to you about this one. And also, if the time permits, please travel to the Agnashni estuary and plant a sapling of the mangroves, so that, and also which will help the benefit the restoring the degraded patches of the region in that region. You know, this year we celebrated a World Environment Day. The focus of the World Environment Day, or the theme of the World Environment Day, is the restoration, land restoration. Where we noticed that in the name of the development, the large scale of the natural areas or the forests are getting the fragmented or degraded. Now it is our responsibility to rejuvenate them. So let us all join hands and restore the ecosystem in the west coast as well as in the east coast, so that it acts as a barrier and it prevents the people from the storms or the tsunamis, etc. If you want to live longer, you need to make the coastal ecosystem take the advantage of the ecological sciences, the coastal ecosystem, especially the mangroves, etc. At the same time, when we protect these mangroves and the other ecosystems, we are also supporting the livelihood of the people. And as you all know, the coastal ecosystem is a densely populated region. So by planting the sapling of mangroves, you are not only enhancing the security of the people, you are also enhancing their economic status in the region. Thank you all.
Thank you, sir, for giving us different measures for conserving our natural heritage region, that is Agnashini Estuary. And I would like to thank all the speakers again, and also all the enthusiastic participants for your engagement, direct engagement through questions and discussions, which has already enriched our collective understanding. And we will continue to monitor the Agnashini estuary and all the mangrove regions in the coastal regions. And I would like to extend thanks to the entire IISC EISCP team for organizing this insightful webinar series. Stay tuned for our upcoming webinars in this series, and where we will continue to explore crucial topics related to environmental conservation and sustainability. Please do not forget to like and share this video on YouTube, and please subscribe to our channel, which is called IISC Envis EWRG Environment Education, for notifications for future videos and events. And please do not forget to plant new saplings in name of your mother, and also to protect your mother nature. Thank you so much. We will end this session today. Thank you.